Hi, so today we're going to be doing 11-3 and we're talking about quadrilaterals. And quadrilaterals are dealing with shapes that are four-sided. So we're going to go through this. I'm going to show you a picture from... Okay, so a general quadrilateral has four sides and four angles. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral with at least one pair of parallel lines. So you might want to write these notes down. So parallel, you think of train tracks that are not going to run into each other. So that's parallel. A parallelogram is a special trapezoid with opposite sides that are congruent, meaning the same, and parallel. So you can see these two are the same because they have one line. These two lines are the same because they have two lines, meaning they're the same length. So a parallelogram is a type of trapezoid because a trapezoid has to have at least one pair of parallel sides, but a parallelogram is going to have two. A rectangle is a type of parallelogram, so you might be seeing a trapezoid is a quadrilateral. A parallelogram is a type of trapezoid. A rectangle is a type of parallelogram with four right angles and four pairs of perpendicular sides. So perpendicular meaning they will run into each other. Perpendicular means that they'll meet at a right angle. I kind of said that wrong, so just wanted to clear that up. So a rectangle has four right angles. I think when you're a little kid, or maybe even a fourth grader, you think of a rectangle just being like longwise and a square being all the same. But what makes a rectangle is that it has four right angles. So you need to remember that. A rhombus is a special parallelogram with four congruent sides. Remember, congruent means same. So when I was a kid, I always just thought of like a diamond as a rhombus. But a rhombus, what makes a rhombus is all sides are the same length. And then a square, so a rhombus is a parallelogram and a rectangle is a parallelogram. And a square is a combination of both of those because it has four congruent sides and four right angles. So I'm going to kind of show you this picture. I got this picture offline, but this kind of shows you. The whole thing is a quadrilateral. So we have a trapezoid that has one pair of parallel lines. And we didn't really talk about isosceles trapezoid. But so we have a parallelogram, which has two pairs of parallel lines. Those two are parallel. And we didn't really talk about kite, and we didn't really talk about this quadrilateral. So we're really just focusing in here. But we know a rhombus is because all sides are the same. A rectangle is a rectangle because it has four right angles. And a square is a rhombus because it has all sides the same. And it's a rectangle because it has four right angles. So a square is technically a rectangle. A rectangle is not a square, but a square is technically a rectangle. It's kind of weird to think about. Okay, so I'm going to do some more pages from the book just to go through this. You can see the sun is coming in on my window, even though it's cold out. So, measure the sides. Are any of the sides congruent? And I'm just going to give you the answer. It was yes, even though we're not measuring it. How many right angles, if any, does it have? I can see there's no right angles. How many pairs of parallel sides does this have? These are parallel and those are parallel. So, it has two pairs of parallel lines. So, quadrilateral ABCD, and they named it based on the edges. ABCD we know is a trapezoid because it has parallel lines and it's a parallelogram. Okay, looking at number 2. I can see that it has four right angles, but I can see that the lines are different. The sides are different. So I know that this is a quadrilateral because it has four sides. It's a trapezoid because it has at least one pair of parallel lines. It's a parallelogram because it has two pairs of parallel lines. And it's a rectangle. So you notice you're naming it multiple things. I'm going to make this bigger so we can see this. Okay, so this shape only has one set of parallel lines. So I know it's a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides and it's a trapezoid. I probably should be writing these out so you're used to seeing it. So a shape can be labeled multiple things. It fits in different categories. So same thing, we're naming everything that it is. So number 4, I see right away it has 4 sides, so it's a quadrilateral. These are parallel and these are parallel, so it has at least one pair of parallel lines, so it's a trapezoid. It has 2 pairs of parallel lines, so I know it's a parallelogram. It has 4 right angles, so I know it's a rectangle. It has 4 sides the same, so I know it's a rhombus. And because it's both a rhombus and a rectangle, I know it's also a square. Let's look at number 5. Number 5 only has 2 right angles, but these are parallel. So I know it's going to be quadrilateral because it has 4 sides, and a trapezoid because it has 1 pair of parallel sides. Number 6 is kind of hard to see, but number 6, 4 sides, these are going to be parallel. These lines will be parallel. So because it has at least one pair of parallel lines, it's a trapezoid. Because it has 2 pairs of parallel lines, it's a parallelogram. And because these are all the same, and I can see because they each have one line, I know it's a rhombus. Because remember, rhombus means all sides are congruent or all sides are the same. We have one more to do. Number 7, let's look at this. I know this is 4 sides, so it's a quadrilateral. These are going to be parallel. These lines are going to be parallel, so it's a trapezoid because it has at least one pair of parallel lines. It's a parallelogram because it has 2 pairs of parallel lines. There's no 4 right angles, and all the sides are not the same, so this would be all it is. Okay, let's do some more. So number 2, let's look at number 2. I can see it has 4 right sides, so it's a quadrilateral. I'm going to make this bigger because I think it helps if you can actually see the shape. So, number 2, it's a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides. These lines are going to be parallel. These lines will be parallel. So it's a trapezoid because it has at least one pair of parallel lines. It's a parallelogram because it has 2 pairs of parallel lines. And I see that all of those have one dash, which means they're all the same. So I know this will also be a rhombus. There are not 4 right angles, so that's all I'm doing. Okay, let's look at the next one. Number 3. I see right away there's 4 sides. I see these are parallel and I see these are parallel, so it's a trapezoid and a parallelogram. And I can see that these have 2 dashes and those have 1. So it's not a rhombus, but it does have 4 right angles, so that makes it a rectangle. Let's look at number 4. Number 4. It's a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides. It is a trapezoid because it has at least one pair of parallel lines. It's a parallelogram because it has 2 pairs of parallel lines. And I can see that these are not the same length and these are not the same angle. So that's where it stops. It's a parallelogram, a trapezoid, and quadrilateral. Let's try the next one. Number 5. Kind of hard to see because of the corner, but that's all what you really basically see the whole shape. So it is a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides, and it has, I'm going to erase my ink because I really messed that up. These are not parallel because they are eventually would run into each other. But these lines are parallel, so I know it has one pair of parallel lines, which makes it a trapezoid. And lastly, this is a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides, and if I look, those are not parallel. They're, because eventually down here they would run into each other. So it's not going to be parallelogram, but these 2 are parallel, so it has at least one pair of parallel, so it would be a trapezoid, quadrilateral and trapezoid. Okay, let's go to the multiple choice, or not multiple choice, excuse me, the word problems. you can't see the name, but it says Kevin claims he can draw a trapezoid with 3 right angles. Is that possible? Okay, so he's saying, can he draw a trapezoid with 3 angles? So it's saying if 3 of them are right angles, the 4th one is going to have to be a right angle. So that's still a trapezoid, but it's also going to be a quadrilateral, a trapezoid, a parallelogram, and a rectangle for sure. And if all of the sides were the same, it would also be a rhombus and a square. So it is possible, but it's not just going to be a trapezoid. It would be a parallelogram and a rectangle. And the last question, if a figure is a square, then it is a rectangle. Is that true? And a quadrilateral. Is that true or false? That is true, because a square, remember, work backwards. It's a rhombus and a rectangle because it has all sides the same. It has 4 right angles. That makes it also a parallelogram. That makes it also a trapezoid, and it's also a quadrilateral. So it would be all of those things. I think this is my favorite part of the lesson. I like doing these reviews with you guys. Let's see if I can make number 1 bigger. The light is really weird in my apartment right now. So, complete the following statement. Write sometimes, always, or never. A trapezoid blank has exactly 1 pair of parallel sides. Do you know what's so weird? Your book and my answer book are not the same questions. That's so weird. Okay, so a trapezoid has exactly 1 pair of parallel lines. Well, we know sometimes it can have, I guess I have to figure out what it's asking. A trapezoid always has 1 pair of parallel sides, but it could have 2 pairs of parallel sides, so I guess it would be sometimes has just 1. If it said at least 1 pair, that would be always. But it has exactly 1 pair, I would say that would be sometimes. Because it could also be a parallelogram. So I don't really know what's asking, and the book doesn't have the right answer key. So as long as you know that this is a trapezoid because it has a 1 pair of parallel lines, but this also could be a trapezoid because it has at least 1 pair of parallel lines. As long as you understand that. I don't really understand what the question's asking. Okay. Number 2, complete the following statement. Write sometimes, always, or never. A rhombus blank has 4 congruent angles. It sometimes has 4 congruent angles because that would make it a square. But if it's a rhombus, all that makes it a rhombus is it has 4 sides that are the same length. It might have congruent angles, but that would only be if it was also a square. I'm going to say for this exactly, I'm going to say that's a sometimes, because I know we kind of just went through this, but if it says has at least, that would be always. Okay. Just kind of a weird question. Number 3. How many kilograms are equal to 5,000 grams? So we have to think of King, Henry, died, by, drinking, chocolate milk. Remember the by is grams, liters, and meters. And you're going from kilometers to grams. So that's 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps. So 5,000 grams equals how many kilograms? And I know I'm going from fly to horse, divide of course, and I'm dividing by 10, 100, 1,000. So I'm dividing by 1,000, or I'm getting rid of 3 zeros, so that answer would be 5. 5 kilograms is equal to 5,000 grams. The size of a triangle measures 6, 8, and 10 inches. What type of triangle? The triangle has 1 right angle. What type of triangle is it? So I know it's going to be a right, And no sides are the same, so it's going to be a scalene. So it's a right scalene or a scalene right. Number 5, a warehouse has 355 books to ship. Each carton holds 14 books. How many cartons does a warehouse need to ship in all? So 355 divided by 14. 14 cannot go into 3, but can go into 35. I'm going to guess 2 times. Let's just check. 28, so that would be 2. I subtract. I'm going to count up. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. That gives me 7. Bring down the 5. Let's just make a guess. I'm going to think of this as 15. So if I think of that as 15, I have 15, 30, 45, 60, 75. So I'm going to think of that about 5 times. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 would be 7. That's as close as I'm going to get, so I'm going to put a 5 here. When I subtract, I'm going to 75 minus 70 would be 5, so remainder 5. So that means 25 cartons would not be enough. So I'm going to have to bump up to 26 cartons because I would still have 5 books that didn't get shipped if I did just 25 cartons. How many vertices does a heptagon have? You don't even need to draw that. You should just know hepta is 7. So your answer is going to be 7 vertices because remember the edges, the sides and the angles would all be the same. Okay, we're done for today. Bye.